The committee will then return to its consideration of the request for authorization for subpoenas related to the committee's investigation into the Supreme Court's ethics standards. Before I turn it over to Ranking Member Graham, let me address the most recent development. On November 13th, the Supreme Court announced that for the first time in its history, it would implement a code of conduct for the justices. This came after the Roberts Court refused to act on this issue for more than 10 years. After a series of heavily reported disclosures involving several justices, and after this committee favorably reported the Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal, and Transparency Act, sponsored by Senator Whitehouse. Among other things, the new code addresses the need for justices to uphold the integrity and independence of the judiciary by avoiding impropriety and the appearance of impropriety. But the court's new code of conduct falls far short of what we would expect from the highest court in the land. First, as this court statement on the code specifically notes, and I quote, "For the most part, these rules are not new." That's a tell. It was the old way of doing things that brought the reputation of the court to a new low in public opinion. Under the court's previous practices, justices accepted lavish gifts and luxury travel from individuals with business before the court without disclosing these gifts. Without a new, stronger ethics regime, how can the public trust that the justices will indeed refrain from such an impropriety in the future? And there is no enforcement mechanism in the court's announcement to hold justices accountable for violating the code. While the code of conduct prohibits the appearance of impropriety, it allows the justice to individually determine whether their own conduct creates such an appearance in the minds of, quote, reasonable members of the public. This is something the justices have repeatedly failed to do over the last few years. Without an enforcement mechanism, this code of conduct, while a step in a positive direction, cannot restore the public's faith in the court. Because of this, congressional action remains appropriate and necessary. The committee's investigation of the court's ethical crisis, and these subpoenas in particular, are key pieces of our legislative effort to establish an effective code of conduct. My Republican colleagues claim our efforts are motivated by my disagreement with the court's recent decisions. But I first asked Chief Justice Roberts in writing to address the court's lack of enforceable code of conduct 11 years ago. And an enforceable code of conduct would apply to all 9 justices appointed by presidents of both parties. One Republican claimed that I am, quote, opening Pandora's box, but I am only seeking subpoenas for 2 people who have refused to comply with this committee's oversight request for months. Contrast this with the Republicans' unprecedented subpoena authorization in 2020 for a crossfire hurricane investigation. They provided the chair with blanket authorization to subpoena more than 50 named persons and an unlimited number of unnamed persons. Unlimited. In that case, committee Democrats circulated 22 amendments, 16 of which we offered for a vote. The vast majority of those amendments related directly to the subject matter of the subpoena authorization. In contrast, today, committee Republicans have circulated 177 amendments, the vast majority of which have nothing to do with the Supreme Court ethics crisis. Both Leonard Leo and Harlan Crow are central players in this crisis. Their attempts to thwart the legitimate oversight efforts of the Congress should concern all of us. As I've said before, I do not seek this authorization lightly and do not ask for it often. But to protect Congress's authority and advance the committee's efforts to implement an enforceable code of conduct for the Supreme Court, it is necessary to seek authorization to pursue compulsory process with respect to Mr. Leo and Mr. Crow. Before turning to the ranking member, Senator Graham, for his opening remarks, I will tell you that the standards we will follow in procedure are all precedent of the committee. They have been used by the 2 previous Republican chairmen, and we can cite the exact date when that happened. Now Senator Graham is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What a difference a day makes. So yesterday we had 4 Florida judges that came before the committee where the 2 senators from Florida, both Republicans, reached agreement with the White House to fill judicial vacancies at the district court level. We did 1 in South Carolina. So here we are today. I don't buy anything you just said. Let's just be real blunt and direct. This is garbage. if you really thought this was a problem, why don't you bring up the Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal, and Transparency Act that was passed September the 5th, 2023, in this committee to fix the problem you just talked about? This bill is never going to see the light of the day. Go to Senator Schumer and tell him this is urgent. The country's going to collapse if we don't fix this problem. Why hasn't the majority leader brought up the bill that all of y'all voted for to fix this problem? It's never going to be brought up. These subpoenas are never going to see the light of day. I don't know who's driving the train on your side, but you're driving the committee off into a ditch. So this is a joke, a complete joke. Senator Whitehouse, why can't you convince Senator Schumer to bring the bill up so we can amend it, debate, and vote on it on the floor of the United States Senate? It's the Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal, and Transparency Act. As a matter of fact, next week, I will go down and ask it be brought up. And we'll spend all the time we need as a body to determine what we should do with the Supreme Court. It was a party line vote. All of us voted no because we think it's a really bad idea. This jihad y'all have been on against the Roberts Court is not even, there's transparency. I'll give you credit for that. Here's what you said. I mean, the majority leader of the Senate went to the steps of the Supreme Court and threatened them all. So at least you're honest about what you're trying to do. At least you were before. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you've unleashed the whirlwind and you will pay the price. I guess this is the price the Supreme Court's paying for offending you. So your response to the court you don't like is to try to basically take over how the court works in terms of their internal policing themselves about ethics matters, which all of us on our side feel like really uncomfortable because they're a separate branch of the government. And they did pass some rules that move in the right direction. But you want to pack the court. When you say you don't want to destroy the Roberts Court, I don't believe you. I don't believe a word you're saying. If it were up to you, there would be 13 members on the court, 15 members on the court to dilute the Roberts Court. So you are trying to restructure the court. This is just another way to do it. And is there a consequence to all this rhetoric? Yeah. If you don't believe me, ask Judge Kavanaugh. Based on this idea, you've unleashed a whirlwind, we're going to come after you. Some nut job was caught outside of Justice Kavanaugh's home with a tactical knife, a Glock pistol, 2 magazines, pepper spray, zip ties, a screwdriver, a nail punch, a crowbar, and duct tape. But we're going to keep going, apparently. It's not enough. We can work together on social media where we all agree there's being abuse and we all work together to do subpoenas. The reason I think this is a bunch of garbage and crap, to be honest with you, is I don't think you're remotely interested in bringing up the bill that passed the Senate Judiciary Committee. If you really cared about this, we'd be on the floor a long time ago debating fixing this problem. You know you're not going to get 60 votes for these subpoenas. I don't know who you're trying to please. I don't know what group is going to feel better because we're doing this on your side. But you're pleasing like none of us. And this committee has functioned fairly well given what's going on in America today. So no, I don't buy one bit. This is about fixing a problem. This is about an ongoing effort to destroy this court, to destroy Clarence Thomas's reputation, to pack the court, to get your way, to make sure the Supreme Court exists today, can't function. The Democrats need to destroy Clarence Thomas's reputation. I'm not a real reader of the New Republic, but I think a lot of people on your side probably do. And this is what you're trying to do, and you're going to meet a real brick wall over here. And this is going to fundamentally change the way the committee operates And it's a choice you made. Live with your choice. I'll end where I started. If you think this is a problem, bring up the bill passed by the committee. You have the power to do it. You're never going to do it because you know a lot of your own members won't support this. You know it's not going to work. You're trying to please a group. You're not trying to make this committee function.
Aye.
Mr. Griffin, on this vote, the ayes are 11, the nays are 10.
Manager's amendments adopted. We now turn to.
Mr. Chairman, I have two amendments at the desk.
Well, please let me
Okay.
make a statement. I'm going to recognize Senator Graham on the Republican side for the order that the members on your side will offer the amendments. He has already given me your name earlier, but I want to let you proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If it's okay, Senator Blackburn, I think you have a couple of amendments. And as we get involved in this process, I just want to, when we did subpoenas of Crossfire Hurricane, one of the most corrupt investigations in the history of the country, can't remember, 16, 20 votes, can't remember what it was. So I'm glad we're having votes. I just want to remind the public who may still be watching this for some odd reason, this is going nowhere. This is a political exercise. And Mr. Chairman, I'm still dumbfounded that after voting a bill out of the committee that supposedly fixes this problem from your point of view, why we haven't brought it up to the floor. I mean, you have a solution. You say it was voted out of the committee and it's never been brought to the floor. You're doing an investigation to fix a problem that you've already had a legislative solution for. If you want to fix the problem, try to pass the bill that you claim fixes the problem. The reason we haven't voted on that bill, Mr. Chairman, and never will, is because there's just not the votes. This is incredibly, in my view, unconstitutional. So we'll play this game for a while. Nothing will happen. The subpoenas never get issued. The bill never gets voted on. But it's important enough to destroy the committee.
Senator Graham, would you yield to a question? No. I defer to Senator Corner.
We're in the amendment stage.
Would the senator yield for a question?
Just 1 second, please. We're in the amendment stage. What I'll say to my colleagues is we're going to finish this today. And Senator,
We're going to finish this bill today?
the amendments to the bill today. Senator Blackburn
Wow.
will be the first Republican you want recognized.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
was asked the senator to yield for a question while he had the floor.
Wait a minute,
if
I
I'm not
want to know,
mistaken.
like,
I'll
so
certainly defer to Senator Blackburn.
got 12 minutes to finish
I
this
think the
bill?
practice
Well-
here in the Senate is if senators has the floor and another senator asks them to yield to a question and they say, yes, I will, that
Go
then
ahead
that
to
senator
Senator Graham.
has the floor.
yes, you can definitely, well, one, are we going to be able to debate this bill? What happens? What's the game plan? What do you intend to do?
Of course, it's in your hands. 177 amendments are pending. That's not the first time we've had that number before the committee.
We said we're going to vote on it today.
I said we're going to finish
So
the
wait,
bill today.
what does today mean?
Today is
Today at noon?
Thursday.
Is that when we're going to vote on this bill? When are we going to vote on the bill today?
Stay here as long as you wish to offer amendments.
Okay, so we can waive the 2-hour rule.
No, I don't know that the 2-hour rule has been invoked, but you remember we went through this before with
Okay,
Vanita Gupta.
so basically, you're giving us today, which is Thursday. Wow, okay,
Would the senator yield for a question?
absolutely.
These are private citizens that the majority of the committee seeks to subpoena, correct? Senator Graham?
Yes.
Are you familiar with any legitimate legislative purpose for subpoenaing private citizens?
I think this is a charade politically motivated to attack the integrity of the Roberts Court, to act on what they said they wanted to do to destroy Clarence Thomas's reputation. I think if they really cared about the ethics practices of the court, we would be looking into Sotomayor's situation, Justice Sotomayor, where staff members apparently called people, you need to sell some books if she's going to speak. So, yeah, I think this is all politically motivated. I think the two private citizens involved, particularly Leonard Leo, is at the top of the guy I hate most list in the conservative world. I think this is despicable, what they're doing to these people. I think it's bad for the country. I think this is a joke simply because the bill to fix the problem they claim it exists, they won't even bring it up to the floor. So this is an investigation of private citizens, Senator Cornyn, that I think is politically motivated, not legislatively motivated, because if you wanted to pass legislation, you've already done it out of committee. All you got to do is bring it to the floor. You're in charge. So no, I think it's patently obvious. There's no legislative purpose. This is designed to get people they don't like and try to destroy Clarence Thomas.
If the senator will yield for one more question, we heard some discussion about precedent earlier. The chairman cited what he claimed to be a precedent. I'm not clear that that's actually the case, but in other words, that the rule's been violated before, and so now that sets a precedent for that action. It becomes the norm. So what limitation is there on the majority of the Judiciary Committee issuing subpoenas to private citizens for any purpose that they may please?
That's the heart
That's
of the
the
matter.
precedent that will be set, correctly?
Anybody we don't like, for whatever reason, will begin to subpoena on a partisan basis. The people I wanted to subpoena were involved in a corrupt investigation conducted by the Department of Justice called Crossfire Hurricane. The court rebuked, the FISA court rebuked the Department of Justice and FBI lawyers for misleading the court. Here, we have efforts to bring in two private citizens associated with Clarence Thomas. There is no effort to go after other situations involving judges that may have done something untoward. So what we're doing now is using this committee as sort of a political vendetta. You don't like a couple of people who are active on the other side, and we're going to subpoena you. Yeah, I really.
And that would be the precedent that would be set.
Yeah, I think so. And I didn't do that. Senator Grassley didn't do that. We actually worked together to issue subpoena for tech CEOs.
Senator Graham, would you yield for another question?
Yes, sir.
I would appreciate it if you and/or Senator Cornyn could educate me here on the so-called precedent of subpoenaing private citizens. Let me give you an example. I read recently where the FBI it has announced that it is prosecuting a prostitution ring here in Washington, and I understand it may be New York, or New Jersey. And the clients include prominent politicians and generals and lobbyists. And in order for the client to frequent this brothel, the client had to give his name, his address, his social security number, his credit card. Could we issue a subpoena for their names?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat it?
Do I have to repeat the whole thing?
No. I got the
You got the
prostitution
brothel
ring.
part, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering
Okay.
if you said they were subpoenaing me. No.
No,
they're not. Yeah. Okay.
Under this precedent, will we be allowed to subpoena those names?
I don't know where we're going, I guess, Senator Kennedy. I know that the subpoenas were issued in the past that I'm aware of involving oversight function of an investigation by the Department of Justice. I know we've worked together to issue subpoenas to get people before the committee in the tech business who we think the companies in question are doing a lot of harm to the country. Leonard Leo and Harlan Crow are very prominent conservative people. And we're going after, I mean, you talk about Leonard Leo, like Where do you get your judges from? We get our judges from conservative people who make recommendations to us. I mean, where do you get your judges from? You have liberal groups, I'm sure, recommending names. This is really dangerous, Senator Kennedy. There are two individuals, one's been working committee for 4 months. They want to know anybody you ever saw that ever got on a plane you ever met at the gas station. It's beyond overbroad. It's chilling to me. I have literally begged my colleagues, please don't make me go down this road. Please don't make me have to fight back over this that is not going to advance any cause. You have picked political people you want to please over the smooth and efficient operation of the Judiciary Committee. You've made me and everybody on this side fight back because we believe what you're doing is politically motivated. There's not an ounce of legislative purpose in these subpoenas, because if you really gave a damn about legislation to fix the problem, you would bring the bill up to the floor that has passed this committee. So, yeah, this is really bad, Senator Kennedy. There is no limit to it. I hope you're satisfied over there.
Would the senator
Mr.
yield?
Chairman,
Chair will reclaim the time.
Could I-
Chair reclaims the time. I'm sorry, Senator Kennedy.
But I had another question.
Well, I'm sure you have plenty of questions. I recognize Senator Graham to tell the order of Republicans offering amendments. I want to make one statement, and then we'll proceed to ask Senator
it was a good
Blackburn.
question I
I'm
had,
sure it's good.
Mr. Chairman.
All your questions are good. Keep in mind, as we talk about the expanding the limit opportunity under subpoenas and whether we're going too far, we have named 2 individuals who we've worked with for months trying to secure this information. Let me tell you, 2 individuals, that's it, in the subpoenas so far. And I will tell you this too. Contrast that with the Republicans' unprecedented subpoena authorization in 2020 on Crossfire Hurricane. They provided the chair with a blanket authorization to subpoena more than 50 named persons and an unlimited number of unnamed persons. So the sanctity of the subpoena obviously was not the major consideration at that moment.
Can I ask you a question,
Senator
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Blackburn.
Would you yield for a question?
Well, wait a minute.
Senator Blackburn.
Senator Kennedy, Mr. Chairman, can I respond to what you said?
Of course. you
Because
can.
I'm the one that sought the subpoenas.
Yes, it's true.
We were trying to find out how, in America, the FBI could use Christopher Steele's dossier that was full of lies and garbage to get warrants against American citizens. We're trying to find out how Crossfire Hurricane got off the rails to the point that the FISA court rebuked and issued sanctions against Department of Justice and FBI legal counsel for misrepresenting to the court the true nature of the facts. This is a political effort by the radical left to destroy this court. You have subpoenaed 2 prominent conservative people. You have ignored other problems with the court that Senator Blackburn would like to bring up to the committee. There's legislation you have passed before you did the subpoenas that would fix the problem. Why would you do the subpoenas after you pass legislation to fix the problem? You have chosen not to bring the legislation to the floor because it's unconstitutional. There is no legislative purpose here. This is politics, it's raw politics, it's dangerous politics, and this committee is taking the country down a very dark and dangerous road. That's the difference.
Will you yield for a question?
Yes.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member, isn't it true that the committee requested 25 years worth of documents from Mr. Crow, and Mr. Crow offered 5 years? of those documents, notwithstanding the absence of a legislative purpose, notwithstanding the fact that he was under no obligation to do that.
That's correct.
Isn't it also true, Mr. Ranking Member, that on November 9th, 2023, what's that, 3 weeks ago, today, in this very hearing, our committee chairman said from this very seat, quote, "It is within the power of the Chief Justice and his fellow justices to solve this problem before noon today, and they should have done so a long time ago." In other words, he was conditioning it upon the Supreme Court issuing its own code of conduct, which the Supreme Court has now done, which I haven't heard anyone describe as inadequate, insufficient. Wasn't that the entire condition precedent for this committee even considering that?
All I can say is this is not about the Supreme Court, the way it operates. It's about the left hating the Supreme Court the way it's constituted. I'm not saying that. That's what they've said. They literally want to pack the court. They want to destroy this court. They want to add members if that's what it takes to destroy it. They want to ruin people's reputations if that's what it takes to destroy it. The subpoenas in question are going after private citizens beyond being overbroad. There is no legislative purpose here.
Would the senator yield for a question?
Yes, I will.
The two individuals that Senate Democrats are targeting, Leonard Leo and Harlan Crow, are both, I believe, extraordinary patriots.
Excuse me, Senator, but I want to make one point clear. Any request for time comes through the chair. I yielded to Senator Graham. He has made his statement. Now, what's happened in the interim, I want to report to the committee so you know exactly where we stand. In the time that I've served on Judiciary Committee and in recent time, the Democrats have never invoked the 2-hour rule on this committee, never, so that we were able to continue our business and finish it. Now, for the second time, as my chairmanship, the Republicans have invoked the 2-hour rule as they did on the Vanita Gupta nomination, which means that we literally have until 12 o'clock to complete our business.
No, we have next week, and we have the week after that, and we have the week after that. What is the urgency here? Give me a break. You got a bill on the floor.
Senator Graham, would you yield to a question?
Please let me finish.
The chair has the floor. We will therefore proceed with a vote on the chair's November 2nd, 2023 motion to authorize subpoenas relating to the committee's Supreme Court ethics investigation. The clerk will call the roll.
I have a point of order, Mr. Chairman. I have a point of order. The chair shall entertain, okay, excuse me. I raise a point of order.
Please proceed.
By limiting, can I raise a point of order? Mr. Chairman, can I please raise a point of order as to what you're doing?
We're on a roll call.
I have a right under Rule 4 to have a roll call vote to end debate. That's in the rule. I'm invoking that now.
So in the middle of the roll.
Yes.
Are you denying me the right to vote to end debate under Rule 4?
Clerk will suspend. The chair makes a motion to suspend Rule 4. Clerk will call the roll.
I object. I asked a roll call vote, please.
Yes, we'll roll call.
Mr. Whitehouse.
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Coons.
Suspending Rule 4.
So that we can complete the vote.
Mr. Blumenthal. Ms. Arona. Mr. Booker.
This is a vote to end debate, right?
Right.
Mr. Ossoff.
Thank you.
Mr. Welch. Ms. Butler. Mr. Graham.
No.
Mr. Grassley.
No by proxy.
Mr. Cornyn. Mr. Cornyn. Mr. Lee. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Tillis. Mrs. Blackburn.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Grassley did not give me his proxy. I had bad information. Thank you.
The nays are 1.
The question now is on the proceeding to vote on the chair's November 2nd, 2023 motion to authorize subpoenas. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, can I raise a point of order, please?
I'm
Ma'am.
sorry, but we have to proceed with this roll call.
Yeah, I can't raise a point of order before we vote.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Whitehouse.
Aye.
Go away, go away.
Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Coons.
You should just leave it.
Mr. Coons. Mr. Blumenthal. Ms. Romano. Mr. Booker. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Ossoff. Mr. Welch. Ms. Butler. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Cornick. Mr. Lee. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Tillis. Mrs. Blackburn. Chair Durbin. Chair Durbin, on this vote, the ayes are 11.
The motion is agreed to. The chair is authorized to issue subpoenas pursuant to the motion, and the committee stands adjourned.
Today, former